Thank you and welcome. So yes, this is the last of the XR speaker series, and we have the pleasure to welcome Nicole Lazzaro. She's the president and founder of XEODesign. She has more than 30 years experience in player experience design and over a decade in XR. Nicole has developed the model, the 4Ks of fun, which has influenced millions of designers on games such as WoW, Halo, Assassin's Creed. And Nicole has helped create emotion-driven experiences for giants like Disney, Electronic Arts, DICE, Meta, and Ubisoft. Um, so she also continues to innovate, and she has become an XR Hall of Fame inductee last year for XR design language and spatial audio innovation. So no one understands XR design better than Nicole. And she's also currently developing Follow the White Rabbit Tales. It's an episodic XR mystery adventure about a magician whose magic one day suddenly works. So now it's been soft launched on Apple Vision Pro. So welcome, Nicole. And she also has been sick a little bit, so her voice might be strained, and we'll see how it goes today. Thank you for still coming.
Awesome. Yeah. So if I start coughing, we may pause. But I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. So thank you very much for the warm welcome. I appreciate being lovely to see everybody. And I thought I would go in and why don't we just go ahead and get in and get started. All right, that looks good. Fantastic. So so what I want to talk about today is designing the future of mixed reality games. And in a sense, like in a world where anything is possible, like mixed reality, how do you create a sense of mystery and how do you create a sense of magic for the player? How do you create mechanics that blend the player's real world with when the player, could be anywhere? So we're going to go into a little bit about the things that we've been working on here for at XEODesign, XEOPlay on Follow the White Rabbit Tails, as well as some examples from the industry and maybe some future directions as well. So as Natalie's already said, I'm Nicole Lazzaro, 30 years game veterans. Here are some of my clients, and you can follow me over there on Blue Sky if you like. Uh, and as she mentioned, also I'm in the XR Hall of Fame for design language, XR design language, and spatial audio innovation. And that was a really great, pleasant surprise to have that happen at AWE last year. And this is what my model, the four keys to fun, looks like. I was the first person really to measure emotion on people's faces while they play. And uh, the goodness. So then I created this model where you could take the actions that players most liked in games and the emotions that they created, and use that just like essentially it's a toolkit, just like you might design emotions if you're an artist with a brush and color, or an actor with your voice, or a writer with your words. This allows interaction and game designers to create emotions. So, well, how did I get here? Well, as it at the thinking back, at the turn of this century, I found myself in Egypt, in on top of a temple. It was a it was a dry, hot day in the middle of the Egyptian desert. The sun was beating down, and I looked down to get that last sip of water from my canteen. But I stopped in amazement because there at my feet, someone had carved a game board. And I thought, wow, two people had stood where I stood and thought to pass their time with a game. And I went and I thought, like, well, this was the year, 2020. And I was thinking, like, oh, in 1999, where in 20 years already, it's already passed, is where would we want to be? What kind of games would I want to be playing? What would those people from 2,000 years ago think about the games that we would play now in the year 2020? And here we are already at 2025. And it was then I realized that everything that we knew at the time in the year 2000 was going to have to change because game design did not have the tools or the language to describe the kinds of experiences I wanted to have with my friends. We didn't have the mechanics to create specific emotions. So that's where I began my life's work. So after the four keys, I then started developing our own games using four keys model to create emotional, interactive, innovative games that really could unlock human potential and improve our world through play. So we started with Tilt World, which was a launch title on the iPad. Did Unscramble the Oracle a few years later, and that was I talked about it in the year 2020, where we actually created a choose your adventure. You could play walking around the block, just with your head pose, just with head pose. So you could walk around, and it was an interactive spatial audio adventure. So there's a great talk up on the vault at GDC on that if you wanted to follow that thread. And then we, of course, are working on Follow the White Rabbit. Tilt World's won a number of awards, and it actually was the first game also to plant trees in Madagascar. So it was the first, based on the first iPhone game, which I designed with Joe Hewitt in 2007, about a week after the iPhone launched. This was a full color version with a story and characters and fun stuff like that. And then now we are working on Follow the White Rabbit, which is, we've demoed for thousands and thousands of players, most recently at GDC a week or so, or 2 weeks ago, and have won a number of awards. But so let me tell you a little bit about how Follow the White Rabbit started in mixed reality. Excuse me. So you see, if we think about mixed reality, XR, AR, all the R's, it's really about Wonderland. And I grew up in Wonderland. I grew up overseas, riding camels, climbing pyramids, exploring fire temples, doing these amazing things, adventures in real life as a kid. And as an adult now, I want to go back and re-experience those feelings of wonder I had as a kid. And so, XR mixed reality is was the first kind of game technology, game platform that would really allow me to do that. And so we're creating, so to create Wonderland, we're doing, Follow the White Rabbit's Tales. And it's a puzzling adventure set in a curious room where magic is real. It's a mystery adventure game in XR about a magician whose magic one day suddenly works and the rabbit disappears wearing a diamond bracelet. And to make matters worse, that bracelet was borrowed from from an audience member, and now it's gone. So here's a quick 15-second look at the game. So that's just to give you a sense of where I'm coming from as a designer. So with it now, we have it soft launched on the Apple Vision Pro, so you can get the early access version if you go up there now. And as you can see, there's a lot of puzzles and picking up of objects, and this, it's very simple, set on top of a very simple interaction model. The second episode has more, is less VR and actually goes into the real room, which we'll be talking about. There's a series of escape rooms. It has a series of escape rooms around the world, and again, each escape room is based on a place where I've actually visited or lived, as a kid. And episode 2, which we'll be talking about, A Follow White Rabbit, is called the Steel Diamond Mystery, and in it, the fabulous steel diamond necklace has been stolen in the middle of a gala at the British Museum, and it's up to you and your friends to find out what happened. So thank you very much for inviting me today, and I'd like to share a little bit about what I've learned about mixed reality in designing this. So let's begin with one of the biggest design challenges for mixed reality games, and that's creating the emotions of magic. So how can you create the feeling of wonder and surprise, the emotions of magic and mystery, when the players already know nothing is real? You can have a magic hat and I could pull objects out. If I could pull a 747 out of a hat, but because the hat's virtual and the 747 is virtual, you're not surprised. Or maybe you might be shocked, but it doesn't really, doesn't really work. Now there's a layer of mixed reality, especially when you're imposing, when you're placing content really well, when your content's really integrated well into the environment. That creates its own magic. That does create a sense of mystery and wonder, but it does dissipate pretty quickly. That initial novelty dissipates quickly, and then you need mechanics, the game mechanics, the hard fun of game design, to continue to make it feel to create more emotions that make it feel like magic. So what I do with anything, with any kind of game mechanic, whether I'm working on, games, like whether it was Star Wars or Diner Dash or, some more recent ones in mixed reality, is I want to start with the emotion and work outward. So we do have a lot of novelty in the game platform. These are experiences people have not experienced before. I mean, it's reality, but they've experienced it in a new way, reality in a new way. So we want to look at what those emotions are and work outward. So it's the emotions of magic and mystery we want to start with. And so I start with identifying what those emotions are. In the case of the 4 keys to fun, we're really looking at what we call easy fun. It turns out that players play games for 4 reasons. They play for novelty, they play for challenge or hard fun, they play for friendship, social interaction, people fun, and they also play for meaning and value, which is more serious fun. And each of these clusters of the 4 keys have their own mechanics. Now, it turns out, and partly why I chose a magic theme for my game in mixed reality, is that easy fun has the trifecta of emotions of curiosity, surprise, and wonder. These are really great emotions. I encourage you to read more about them. Paul Ekman is the researcher I used. He designed facial action coding, which is what I use to measure emotion in faces while people play. And then I know that my mechanics to start with are going to have to be an easy fun, right? That what is going to create curiosity, surprise, and wonder? Well, it's exploration, role play, story, those kinds of things. Just the sheer joy of using the controls all creates these types of emotions. So so those for interaction, but I also wanted to have the art style support us. So we've got emotions of exploration and the story and the role play, really focusing on creating those emotions. And now I want to also have the art style support that emotion profile as well. So that's where we settled in on doing surrealism. And surrealism as an art style, very inspired by the surrealists, is when you have these iconic images juxtaposed in an impossible way. There's this cognitive dissonance where you can't quite interpret what's going on. So this isn't really a set of binoculars. It's kind of weird. And that they we want art that pulls players into the world instead of pushing them back. We want to bend the player's frame. We want to bend their minds, and then they also want a little bit of a little bit of humor, such as, this is not a pipe, and make them really question reality. Now, to do this, we want to think like magicians, and we want to bend the frame like a magician. So magicians have a lot of rules, or there's a lot of techniques they use to amplify the trick. The trick itself is often quite unremarkable, but it's the setup and context that they do that really, with a really good magician, will really make the audience go wow, and that full body wonder you feel like when you see a really good magician, like say Penn and Teller. It makes you go right down to make them question reality. And I love this juxtaposition of surrealism and magic because like this painting by Magritte, it's called The Treachery of Images. This is not a pipe in French here. And well, it's a pipe, but it's not a pipe. It's a painting of a pipe. So your mind is kind of tangled up in this can be this really delicious way. And then using that in addition to more direct magical techniques is how we're building our game. So let's break these down to the action. Let's break down the actions that magicians use to create these emotions to enhance that sense of wonder in the audience. Well, what they do is they establish a frame and then break it. Ever wonder why? People will, there's nothing up my sleeves, or they bring out a magic hat, there's nothing in the hat. They bang on the sides of the obviously empty box to convince you. They'll even drop an egg on stage, a real egg, and make it crack. So to convince you this is reality, right? This is how physics works. This is a real box. These are the rings. They're really tightly interlocked. You can't break them. This chain is thoroughly, fastened around the chest. This is the reality. They're reminding the audience how physics works. Objects fall, subject matter is impenetrable, and then they proceed to do just the opposite. They break that frame. And for virtual reality and Follow the White Rabbit, is we're using VR's special properties to establish this reality inside the player's head. So that's why in our escape room, the walls will move and 3D puzzles lift from illustrations, and magical projections become solid objects. Objects will float and levitate in midair, which is our main, kind of inspection mechanic. And you can get a 3D object out of a 2D, illustration. And, true to our nature, we even change the player's sense of scale. We follow the white rabbit. Mirrors will actually create. We'll actually extract. We can actually extract an object out of reflection in a mirror, and we even change the player's sense of scale. So here's an illustration or a moment where you're actually inside. One of the moments that you're inside the magic hat. And all of these beats create sense of wonder, leveraging some of the techniques that magicians do. Again, you try to establish the frame, and then you break it. So you think you're in Paris, but are you really? Is that really a room? Or is this all just an illusion? Yeah, chances are it probably is. And so then after we identify these individual emotional moments or ideas for additional moments and we want to create an emotion profile and architecture that ties them all together. So after we've, found ways to establish frames and breaking them, for those feelings of magic and wonder, we want to create this emotion profile and architecture to layer then that all on all of the player interactions. And so in designing the room and the layout, even just moving your head inside the room, you're going to get, and interacting with objects there, you're going to get a different set of emotions, from curiosity in one area to maybe a little bit of fear in another. And and then as you solve puzzles, the direction, if you can think about it as like 4 points on a compass, the emotions in that direction actually will change as puzzles solve in the room, in that section of the room actually changes. So you can use this. This can be a spreadsheet. You can do it as a prototype. You can also then layer it over story beats and art to enhance the emotions. But we want to make sure that each object interaction, this is like what we worked on when I worked on The Sims 2 with Will Wright and the team, is that each object, each interaction should make the player feel deeply, make them feel differently. And then you can layer them together or string them together if you want to get more traditional kind of narrative arcs. So that's the first kind of biggest thing, is getting the player to feel like magic. Well, what is the next biggest design challenge? Well, for mixed reality, it has to be like, how do I incorporate, the real room? As before, we're going to design from the emotions out, but how am I going to get that real room in there, right? So we're going to, how is that going to change? What I'm able to do in VR, I control everything. Now, when I don't control the background, the frame, if you will, how am I going to be able to break it? What are the emotions? And then how do player actions create them? Now, I don't know about your real room, but, I don't think I really want to have the emotions from a pile of dirty laundry, in front of my game. While we're here trying to create curiosity when surprise, the complex, world really reminds me of tasks I need doing, reasons I should not be playing, reminders of why I'm playing a game to get away from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My to-do list, my whatever. And it also might be, I am living in a very a very fancy, mid-century modern apartment, but I'm going on an adventure in Victorian England. It's a very different art style. How can we possibly have those work together? The emotions might be from your real world. It might be disgust, anxiety, and reality, stress, or whatever. So we've got to think about, like, how can we use mixed reality to overcome those challenges, challenges of creating, a better emotion profile. So the moment we can get AI to comment on my real room, I think that's going to be a real moment. Or spawn a chaos monster from this pile of laundry. That'll be definitely a moment indeed. But until then, we need to find ways to work with what the player gives us, ignore it, cover it up, or just respond to it in an intelligent way. So aside from what we're doing with Follow the White Rabbit, one of the titles I'm most impressed with is Starship Home. Here's a video from the review on Upload VR. Starship Home is created by Creature. There's a lovely GDC talk from a year ago, from 2024, by Ashley Pinnock, and I highly recommend. She's the art director. Highly recommend it. But as you can see here, we've got what they're doing to blend the reality a little bit better is they're tinting the pass-through video to kind of correspond with the art, with that particular beat. So we get, kind of this, sea green blue. We're getting this more rosy tone with the inventory. We're getting this green tone around the plants, and this, each section has its own mood lighting, and they're taking that mood lighting, basically they're processing the video feed as it comes in. There are also wonderful things like, object interaction. Here we're getting contact shadows, as well as the plant responding to being on a surface, so it understands. You can pull UI elements out of the planes, out of the floor and out of the walls, for example, and that helps blend the frame of the person's real room in with the activity. And then you also have this CETA sort of stuff, this what James Cameron calls crap in the air, to get that illusion, remind you that there's depth here. So there's virtual stuff kind of floating around. Anyway, but again, great talk by Ashley. If you should check it out. So then we've got I think that blending works really, really well. And then what also, though, we can do, in addition to the walls and the floors, we can also do tabletop and do some interesting things here. This is with TiltFive. One of the great things about TiltFive is that because it's glasses, they're sunglasses essentially, allows a lot of personal eye contact. And there's a lot of emotions in the third key to fun, which is all about social interaction. And in that social interaction, you get humor, and you get a lot of humor, competition, cooperation, lots of fun stuff. And there's more emotion, like through direct social interaction between people than in any other kind of interactive emotion, all the other three keys combined. So there's a lot of emotion here. And then, as you can see, you can anchor it to a tabletop. This is a physical board for those who haven't played it. I highly recommend checking it out. And then you have, it's a reflector, so there's a projector on the glasses, and then you're each getting your own personal view of that board, as the image is projected, literally, the hologram is literally projected in front of you. They just announced an RPG editor, or engine, sorry. So here you can see a fairly high resolution, a lot of features here of creating tabletop Dungeons and Dragons style campaigns, and that'll be I'm really looking forward. That just got announced a couple days ago, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. And then in addition to a tabletop, I think there's another great way to go about it, is where walls and floors could actually mean something specifically narratively to the game. So we want to weave the player's reality into the game's reality, a bit like what we saw with Starship Home. This is Walltown Wonders, where the people in the game, kind of live in your actual walls, and you help build. It's kind of like a little city sim, where you actually build the world around you in your real world, which is which is can be quite fun. There's some farming sort of mechanics on the floor, and then you have a transportation of these retro little planes, and as you see here, the hot air balloon. And then so that's another kind of interesting idea, again weaving the different, trying to get mixed reality games to feel more integrated into your room. Now we believe that people who really love a game are going to customize their room towards that, or they'll position things in ways that make it fun in their space. But we also want to be sure that it but we can't require that. We can't require that. So and then in one last thing here, to do mixed reality really well, we want to make sure we don't forget mixed reality other senses, such as audio and haptics. A couple weeks ago with Masatoshi Miyakawa, we did a talk on 3D haptics at GDC. So that'll be out for free on the Vault in a few weeks. There's a QR code there. And what you can do with haptics now is pretty amazing. He has this amazing haptics editor called Amptics. And what you can do is you can actually create these wonderful textures. So like if I have a light sword, I'm wanting, you're going to want to feel the light sword go through things. So haptics is a big thing to really creating the feeling like you're actually there. So what does it feel like when I slice a wood or a vine or the enemy, or and what perspective should that haptics have? It's rather interesting, because should what I feel be what the character feels in their hand, or should it be their footsteps, or should it be more the world's first person, or should it be the world, or some combination of both? Anyway, I encourage you to find, if you want to find out more, to check out the talk that we did at GDC 25. So then the next question, or last question really, is what is the future of mixed reality? So I want to take a few moments, if I may, to talk a bit about that. So the first person, the first stage of mixed reality is really, it's all about what we saw initially. It's like kind of like Pokemon Go, right? We have the Princess Leia hologram. And then we have the second stage is really is Star Wars chess. And then which is more of a tabletop game, very much like you saw with TiltFive. And then the third one is really a little bit more about what we're building, which is really incorporating the room. So here's a quick peek at what we're working on with Zeoplay for the second episode of Follow the White Rabbit, which is called the Steel Diamond Mystery. And it's the fabulous steel diamond necklace has been stolen in the middle of a gala at the British Museum, and then you and your friends have to figure out what happened. And it takes place in mixed reality, where we turn your room into like this 20-room Victorian mansion. So still in development, but here's a quick. So that's a quick look. I wanted to go and we had a question about haptics, which I'll answer that at the end. So please go ahead and please feel free to put your questions in the chat. So then lastly, sort of like, so what is that future of mixed reality game? So given like what we've been working on and what we've been experimenting with here at Zeo, we have a couple of really interesting technologies that are coming down to make XR even more amazing and more wonderful. On one hand, we can do things like that games have always done, which is use AI to procedurally generate levels, and we can create these levels, inside your room, for example. And we've got, for the Aladdin's Cave, episode, we go to Aladdin's Cave of Wonders, and we fill your room in full of treasures. So it's a magical garden where the trees are hung with gems the size of grapefruit, but it's cursed. So as you walk physically in the room through this world in mixed reality, even if the hem of your robe touches something, the whole cave will collapse. So we get these moments of magic, and then we can use procedural generation to, lay out the paths and lay out conform the space into this adventure. But the next thing we can do is we can use AI, more recent AI, to do semantic classification and segmentation. So there's sort of two things that will go. This is from a paper here that I've referenced. On the top is a very popular model. You can find it on Hugging Face, YOLO, and I do believe it actually has an onboard thing now where you can actually, a mobile version. And you can identify, so it will identify in that scene different objects. So it object recognition. And then it recognizes these objects. And then here's an approach at the bottom with B that does it more, by the pixels. So this pixel is part of a person. This pixel is part of a person. This pixel is part of the road. And then is giving you this list of tags on the right. Now, when I was working with the Snap hardware before, they had these great new goggles. I have the early prototypes from about 5 years ago. And with these, you could actually go up onto a database of about 900 classifiers. Well, let's see. There was 400 classifiers if you didn't count dogs or dog breeds or cars, or car types of cars. And so it's when you get into that 400 kind of classifiers, that's when stuff really gets interesting. You'll want to look at like what the layer of level of confidence is in these. That can be something that can trip you up. Some systems won't allow you to do that, but you definitely need to do that. So for your game. But if you can imagine, like in a now maybe more in a room setting, this is from another technology called analytics. This is from quite a few years ago. They are able to classify from a photo, and then hopefully video would be like this is the bed, these are the pillows, this is the towel, this is these are the curtains, all of these things. Now, why would you want in a game? Why would you want to do that? Well, in our case, like I really, as a game designer, what I want to do is I want to basically put in a mystery. I want to put the virtual bent poker in your real world fireplace. I want to put a virtual vial of poison next to your real plate of food, so that the virtual and the physical, can be can be blended. It can talk to each other. So that's it for the prepared part. I was hoping we can do some really great Q&A. And then so I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you'd like to join the White Rabbit Tails Early Access on Vision Pro, here's some QR codes, and please feel free to reach out more about our game. And I really can't wait to see what you all create. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful. I remember trying a very early version of the White Rabbit, like several years ago. It's great to see how much it has evolved. Yeah, please put your questions in the chat or raise your hand if you have a question. Maybe I will start with the first one, which was, with the new Quest 3 or Apple Vision Pro, where the main interaction is with your hand. How do you create those haptic feedback because the controllers are great for giving some haptic feedback.
Right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the I think that was what was really brilliant about Apple's design in their UI, because they're using natural haptics with the gaze and pinch. So you gaze to look at something and then you pinch. So you're using the natural pinch of your fingers um, to do that. There are some interesting technologies that are out there. There are some gloves, and I've seen now some finger pads that you can slip on in order to get some haptic
Mhm.
sensations. It'll be really interesting to see where that kind of technology goes. I know that
Okay, yeah.
when we're doing, with VR and like, with controllers, and if everything you touch, feels something when you go into a game that doesn't have haptics, then it can be really, it feels like, I feel numb. I feel like I didn't.
Yeah, because touch and sounds are really those unconscious senses
Mhm,
that bypass, they go direct to your brain as opposed to vision that is very processed and
mhm.
so it's more like immediate.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, totally. And then I think you brought up a good point because there are certain sounds that you can use that will actually create a number of different uh, that can actually create the feeling because they're
of
just
haptic,
so,
yeah, yeah.
just so crunchy. You start feeling these,
Mm.
these feelings in your hands or in your body.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I remember doing some early VR where you were like bouncing a ball in your hand, and it was only visual, but then I started to feel it in my hand for real. That was like
Mhm,
the weirdest thing because my brain was filling up the missing sense.
mhm.
Um, so
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
there is
completely.
yeah,
And there's a reason why, like for example, like if people have played Astrobot, like on the PS5, uh not mixed reality, but actually I think there is a VR anyway, but with the controller, you have the Astrobot like walking on sand, swimming in water, holding an umbrella. These are all very iconic moments, and then they have an audio design that matches that.
yeah. So Shruti, did you want me to ask the question or you want to ask directly?
Sure, I can go ahead as well. Thank you very much. This was very insightful. I just wanted to understand how creating such mixed reality experiences for mobile devices would work, and if we should take different approaches when we're designing such games for mobiles.
Right. Yeah. So with mixed reality and mobile is really fascinating. In fact, we have um, I have a mobile version of the game, right here on my phone. So you have, I don't know if I can show this. Should have plugged it in, I guess. There we go. Yeah,
Okay.
so you can basically play it real time. Getting lovely reflections of my room, but so now you can actually, this is a live demo, right? So you can actually like play it just, with just by turning the phone as if it was your head, right? So that's an interesting, that's a, unique mechanic that I designed for being able to play it on phone as well. We're also doing stuff which is more traditional, like AR, hold the
Yeah,
phone,
pop
move the
up.
phone around.
Yeah,
And that can
holograms.
work well too. So these principles are definitely all the same. What you want to look at, what will change, because we're looking at playing, launching in headset, but then also being able to play on mobile because we'd love to have that cross play happen. And so the biggest challenge really is there's a slight difference of form factor, and kind of like I talked about briefly with haptics, where you have the is the perspective of the haptics, first person where it's what they feel, or only what the character feels. In Astrobot, it's their feet. In a light sword sort of thing, it might be a lightsaber. If you're driving a Jeep, it might be your hands on the steering wheel. It might be the perspective of the Jeep. It might be, that sort of thing. Well, when in mobile, you'll have the obviously the haptics on your hand, right? So you'll have lots of haptics there, um, and then it's slightly third person. So like when we did Unscramble the Oracle, which is, when you look around the room, it's a set of sunglasses from, several years ago that had audio in them. And so I could take the player's pose and then, put specific audio objects. And then, so it's first person, 3 DoF-ish, but you could walk, so it felt kind of 6 DoF-y. 3 directions of freedom versus 6 directions of freedom. And then when I look, I would look at something, and it's a choose your own adventure about a chicken fairy godmother, and she's lost her hubby and chick, so you have to go help her find them. And so I could put her as the narrator up here, 2 o'clock high, and I could turn my head and she would just stay there. So that's very first person, like the perspective. I have a port to the phone since the glasses sunsetted, so the technology is not available anymore. But the phone is now slightly third person because, right, it's not where my head, it's not where my head is pointing, it's where the phone is. So you'll have a little bit of that authorial change of voice when you have something that's in your hand versus in your head. But then you can, this makes a wonderful metaphor for like butterfly nets and, for catching things, or for magnifying glasses to, investigate things. So incorporating something as a tool, this becomes a tool in that adventure, I think really, really helps make an XR mobile experience shine. I've seen a lot of XR mobile stuff where you just have you place something on the object, an object on an object on a table, and then you will, you rotate it by swiping it, and then you try and solve a puzzle on mobile. But it does feel very limited because your phone has to stand in that same spot like the whole time, right? And so it's very constrained.
And yeah, so basically what you're saying, it's almost like, designing for a different game, because between first person or holding a tool, it's really like
Right.
a different
Or
interaction.
you decide on a central core loop that moves between, head pose, say, or body, the center of the body. If you're a 6 DoF, it's really more about the center of the body. And then, but could also be played, by moving your hand around. Yeah. So, does that help?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was
What
great.
we
Thank
did,
you.
what we did for ours is, because I knew it would, I'm self-financing, so I knew I couldn't count on the hardware we were working on to be available by the time we shipped. So I worked in Unity, and I built the main controller, which is a raycast, as a separate module, as a prefab, say, game object, collection of game objects. And then I moved that, I kept that independent of the platform specific controls. And then I've just moved that from, from Gear VR to Rift to Google Daydream to Quest to now Apple Vision Pro. We're on Magic Leap a little bit with a slightly different variation, but so having that on the code side, so design wise, but also on the code side, I isolated the core thing so that I could make it modular and then move it to a new project in Unity, and then, use that new platform's SDK, and then wire it up. It takes some time, a little bit of time, but not that bad. So design, but then also when you port to mobile, same kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely reminding us that we have to update all the time for different headsets capabilities.
Yeah. And then,
changes.
so like when it goes to ARKit, what could I, how could I attach this thing to the camera, the ARKit camera, stuff like that.
Juliana, did you want to ask your question? Oh, I can ask it. So,
hey, Juliana, nice to see you.
yeah, nice to see you. How do you maximize equally impactful emotions within the AR environment as you can in VR, especially in public, when there are people walking, talking around, etc.? How do you manage that? It's not the same way that people use it, or the same locations. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can have, like I mentioned earlier, you have much less control. And just like if you were designing a regular game, you have to, the cognitive load is quite high for VR. And so you have to slow things quite down and simplify things almost a little bit for VR. And with AR, the cognitive load is even higher because that environment is constantly changing and moving and doing that sort of thing. There's sort of two approaches. One is that the way that Niantic has done with Lightship and their points of interest, where they have an experience you have very specific geographic location for an experience. So you are specifically just looking at your background, Nathalie, we're at the Golden Gate Bridge, right? Or we're at the ferry building in San Francisco, or we are, at the pyramids in Egypt, or the Flatiron building in New York, and then something specific happens with that. We can't really, at the moment, we can't really control people walking in and out of the background and running around. We presume that people would, it's not a great answer, but we presume that they would self-manage and and move to a location with less people. I do imagine, though, in a place where we can do really good later with technology, once we get going, with later technology, we'd be able to actually create different. We'll actually be able to segment people out of the frame so well that we could actually, remove them, or replace them with rabbits. In my case, they all turn into rabbits. We would costume them. We'd use them to drive elements in the game. And I think driving elements in the game would be really interesting, because you could, for example, use the extras, as it were, the people running around, to be, more, zombie fodder, or to be use them in a way to control the weather in the experience, or their motion controlling the weather in the experience, or or a more magical kind of music experience. But it is a really challenging question. I think I recommend, if you haven't tried the Starship Home, they do a lot by tinting the camera and kind of pulling focus a little bit that way. I would, in a sense, blur. You might even blur when things get too busy. You might even tilt shift or blur the background, the pass-through video camera background, so the players can maintain attention on what it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Really good question.
At the same time, you don't want them to walk around and bump into people if you have removed them.
Yeah, if they're completely disappeared, you can't do that either.
Do you treat people as objects, or do you treat people as potential connections? That's the question. Eileen, did you have any question yourself? Or?
I do actually. Thank you so much for this talk. It was really fascinating. And I really appreciate your design approach that puts emotions first. I think that's really interesting. And I'm curious to hear, because you've designed so many different types of games and so many platforms and devices, when you're designing for mixed reality or virtual reality, do you think about your framework differently in terms of, I loved how you mentioned, you need easy fun. That's kind of what gets people in, right? And then I assume there's kind of a thought, as we keep designing, and I design for educational applications, so I'm thinking about the hard fun piece for sure.
Right.
Do you feel like you need more easy fun in the mixed or VR, or less, or like, how do you think about that, or does that matter?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that maybe I should just share my screen again. Yeah, so what you can see here with the 4 keys is like I mentioned with the easy fun, there's a lot of like magic, mystery, and wonder and surprise. You mentioned education, and I think that's great, because in hard fun, it's really the challenge and mastery. So it's having specific goals, broken down, and obstacles to those goals, and the feeling of, success or failure. And you get that sense of frustration. But also with education, what's great is that education also, you want to have the serious fun, because those are the emotions. Although the mechanics are like repetition and rhythm and collection and completion, it's also the feeling of learning and getting some real life application, creating real world value. So in creating educational games, we want to be sure that the learning really feels feels concrete and feels like a concrete takeaway, that there's something amazing that that they can do now that they couldn't do beforehand. For VR, what's interesting, I mentioned already that in mixed reality, TiltFive has got and AR glasses in general, has got this great component where you can converse a lot more with other people. And because you can actually see them, which is awesome. But it's also, if you think about what's happening right now in games anyway, with Roblox and with Fortnite, these games are really a social platform, right? They aren't really, and we found this actually in the original research as well, is that people weren't coming for the game. They were coming for the excuse to hang out with friends. And so they are, and so that's what they're doing. It's the virtual shopping mall, of Fortnite and Roblox. And so with those are virtual worlds, which are definitely, if you think about them in VR, and some of them do have VR, and VR chat's another great example. And it's VR chat, right? So it's VR social. Social VR has really long legs because it's driven a lot by people fun. The easy fun, what happens with, I think, probably the biggest lesson or the first lesson, we need to realize as an industry in terms of XR is that a lot of experiences tend to have this kind of one-off kind of, capability. They sort of like you do them and then you're done. Well, that usually shows a little bit to your point is that a lot of mixed reality experiences have this novelty, which is this curiosity, wonder, and surprise. And then after you've experienced the novelty window is unique. It might last from 5 seconds to 15 minutes. But to get a player to go after 15 minutes, beyond 15 minutes, then you're going to have to pull in one of the other 3 types of fun. And so that's why a lot of games don't make it in XR. A lot of reasons why a lot of XR hardware gets sock drawered. It's because the novelty wears off and there's just no reason to come back. So in traditional games, what we've done for millennia is, or at least the really popular ones anyway, is that you take the novelty, the joy of the controls, exploring the world, and then you layer on, then you bump into a challenge. Here's something I can do. So dribbling the basketball is fun. But it's just fun. I can role play that I'm a Harlem Globetrotter or whatever, and then at some point, I want to have a goal and look, here's a basket, here's a hoop. Well, it's way up high and it's all just a little bit bigger than the ball that I have in my hand. Let me see if I can make the ball into the basket. So that's giving you a goal, and that's what games will do is they will follow it up with a series of interesting goals. Now it turns out with hard fun that you need to have the level of challenge you need to manage, just like you want these different emotions coming through. As I mentioned before, in hard fun, you want to manage how much challenge the player is feeling. So this is based a bit on, it's expanded on the work that Csikszentmihalyi did on flow, where you have the degree of, over time, you have, time on one axis and challenge on the other. And then you want to have the players, go have this optimal balance of challenge and difficulty. And so the challenge, as time goes by, the challenge needs to increase. But if it goes up, if the ramp is too steep, the players will leave because they're frustrated. And then if it's too low, then they'll leave because they're bored. And in XR, again, that cognitive load means that ramp is probably going to be slightly lower than it would be if it was a traditional, kind of a traditional game. So the 4 keys definitely still applies. I have a big blog post about that on Medium if you want to check it out. But if you think about thing like Within or Beat Saber, people play Beat Saber and they play Beat Saber for arm day, and they play Pistol Whip for leg day, which is all about serious fun. So they're playing the hard fun of the game to get the workout benefit from serious fun.
That's great. Thanks. Yeah. And I think what you said about how a lot of experiences have kind of stopped at that, 10, 15 minute easy fun, that aligns a lot with what I see for education too, where something is like a gimmick, right? It's like, wow, you can blow this thing up and look at it, in different ways, but then there isn't, the next piece that you're talking about of how do you get to a challenge or a
Oh,
goal or
yeah.
something.
Mhm.
So it's a really nice design framework, because I do think that the curiosity, awe, wonder side of it is super beneficial for learning too.
Oh, yeah, and that's actually, these are the emotions of learning.
Yeah.
And if you think about what play is on a biological level, play is something that all animals do. Pretty much all animals will play. Definitely all mammals do. And like crayfish and other fish also, they play. And then really play, the biological purpose is really, it's to invent our future selves. We learn, the result of play, the purpose of play is to learn. And in spite of what we might get in our Prussian in our Prussian Orthodox kind of way in which we designed our educational system here in America, which is good. I mean, definitely. But yeah, I think that play is very important, because that's actually what happens if you go down into like the novelty window. So we have curiosity, surprise, and wonder. So curiosity, it's the hook that pulls you in. It opens up the mind and makes you think about, like, well, what you lean in, like what's going on. It's a very unique emotion, because the ramp before it, you feel more and more curious, and then once you figure it out, boom, the emotion's gone. Right, you are no longer curious. That's why a plot spoils. Right, that's why you don't. That's why you don't in a mystery. If you know the ending, it's not as fun. So at that moment of feeling, the moment of recognition, you often also get the second emotion, which is surprise. So surprise has got this really interesting biological. So curiosity, you kind of feel, you can measure it here. The mouth opens slightly, and then the brows kind of corrugate a little bit. They tighten. But and then if you go into it, and then at that moment though, when they know how that episode on Lost happened, or what happened on Severance. I think I should update my model here. What happened on Severance? Like, well, wait, what? Then you are surprised, and what surprises, the marker is that the eyes open up, the mouth opens, the nose opens internally too. So all of your senses, our senses are heightened. So the air capacity increases by something like 50%. I read in some literature from a while ago. And that's all to like take that new stuff in. So you go from curiosity, which is kind of a lean in, figure out kind of emotion, to surprise. It's like, wait, what just happened? And then your mouth is open so that you're getting more air, you can hear better. And so all of that's happening. And then if it's magic or it's wonder, right? Then you get the tingles on the arm. So when we worked on the Mist series, by the amazing group of, Cyan Worlds, when you get the tingles on the arm and stuff like that, and up the back of the head, when you put your hand on a Mist book, well, you didn't actually put your hand, you put a mouse with a cursor, put the cursor hand on the Mist book. But that sound, created that sense of wonder kind of crawling up the thing. And after wonder dissipates, that's actually kind of this precursor to actually learning, because again, you had a frame before the wonder, right? You were curious about it. You were surprised at the response, and then you feel wonder because that frame that you had before is broken. So that's why the magic, what I knew before this was this, but now I know something different. And then if that difference is real, then that's actually, wonder out of learning. It's like, oh, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, that certain reptiles could change their gender depending on environmental factors, or, whatever. Going back to Tilt World and tadpole research we did a while ago.
That's so cool. I feel like we could talk all day, but unfortunately we are out of time. But this is also fascinating. I did drop a couple links in the chat for folks to check out Northeastern's XR programs, and want to let you know we will resume the series in the fall. So hopefully you will all get emails from us. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'll always be posting these. And yeah, please, big thank you to Nicole and Nathalie. Do you want the last word here?
Nothing much to do. To say, yeah, no, very, very interesting talk. Thank you. We'll keep in touch, and yeah, looking forward to next year to have more speakers.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you
very
so
much
much,
everyone
Nicole.
for having me. This has been a real delight, and I appreciate you dealing with my voice here, but it wasn't too
You
bad.
sound great.
It was good. Yeah, it was good. We didn't notice it. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Have a great weekend,
you.
everyone.